first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to cut up some of these tomatoes. And so here we have some beautiful heirloom tomatoes. These are the first of the season. And for me, I wait all year for this dish. And it kind of epitomizes what I think food and family, and just, to me, it's one of the most perfect things that you can do. And it's simple. And that's one of the things that I really love about it.
When the ingredients are so good, especially this time of year, you really don't have to do much to them to make them taste great.
And I think that this is really a perfect example of it.
Totally.
So we have a ton of different kinds of heirloom tomatoes. And kind of, you know, when I was a younger chef, I used to spend so much time trying to figure out which, you know, the different varieties, and I could tell you them all. And I think I could do most of these. But my advice to everyone out there is try them.
Yep.
And because every year, you know, my favorite tomato changes. So whether, you know, it's the red zebra, the green zebra this year, coming from the same farm, depending on the weather, the soil, everything that they're doing, different tomatoes every year taste better.
Yeah. Totally different flavor profile.
And so one of the things we do at the restaurant also is I try to get them from as many different local farms as I can. Because every year, some of them are better from this farm, or some of them are better from the other farm. So that's my advice, you know, give them a try.
Awesome, I love that. That's great advice. So a green zebra from one farm is going to taste totally different from another farm.
Right, and even from year to year. So, and then the other thing that I can say is growing up in Pennsylvania, and not New Jersey, but, you know, it was kind of hard to find really great tomatoes.
Sure.
So my whole entire life, I didn't like tomatoes.
Oh, you were one of those kids.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. And so I went out to California, and one of the first things, I had worked for Bradley Ogden, and we would go to the farmer's market every morning. I can remember the first time at the farmer's market, Bradley used to just go around and he would eat everything. And so he passed me a tomato, and I was like, well, here goes. And I popped it in, and I tried it. It was a Sun Gold.
Oh, well, that's the best tomato there is.
And it was just another out of body kind of experience.
Life-changing.
You know? Yeah, it was just so incredible.
Sun Golds will do that to you.
So I think that also, you know, if you're someone that didn't have really great access to really wonderful tomatoes, don't just give up on them. You know, get out there.
I love that.
And try them.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
I feel like anyone who says they don't like tomatoes just hasn't had a good one yet.
Right. All right, so I just about have enough here.
Okay.
And so now that I have these cut up, I'm just going to kind of push them to the side for a second. And then what I like to do is I actually take some olive oil and I'll just drizzle this into the bowl. And then what I'm kind of doing is almost making, you know, an oil vinegar dressing. So I have red wine vinegar here, and I'll just get that in. And so now I'm just going to step behind and grab my other knife here.
You always use red wine vinegar? Would you use another kind?
So, you know, sometimes I'll do balsamic, sometimes we do a little bit of sherry. And also when you're trying the tomatoes, you know, throughout the year they have different kind of acidity to them.
Sure.
And so I always feel like each month it kind of changes where the red wine's nice in the beginning, and then as the acid develops a little bit more, the balsamic kind of rounds that out.
Right, a little sweeter.
Yeah, and then the sherry vinegar, you know, kind of is just one of my favorite vinegars,
Sherry's
so every
good.
now and then we'll throw that in. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take some uncured garlic. And so at the beginning of the season here, you have the fresh garlic that's not dried. And so the cloves are actually, you can feel how, you know, juicy and moist they are. And it's kind of neat. I'll just show you one of these guys.
It's a lot milder that way,
yes.
believe it or not.
So you get a little bit more mild flavor. But it's kind of neat because you can see that it still really has the distinct clove. And so it's really easy just to kind of peel this off. And you have these beautiful cloves. You can see the juice
it's
kind of just leaking out there.
Moist.
Yeah.
And you can tell you just dug that up. It's covered in dirt.
Oh, yeah. All right. So next, I'm just going to add my garlic, and I'll usually just kind of take these cloves and split them up and just come right in. And we just do the nice little back slice.
So you can do the real raw garlic in this, and it's not going to be totally overpowering?
No, no. And I think what happens is what's kind of neat, I almost consider this like making a pan sauce, where you're going to have the juices from the tomatoes kind of leaking out with the vinegar, and it blends with the oil, and then the juices from the garlic, and it just comes out so nice. And it's all of the flavors that are really fantastic coming together to just make something that's totally
Awesome.
incredible. So, all right, so I'm just going to drop this right in. Here I have some spring onions, and this is the same. Eventually they'll take these and dry them out. But
Okay.
right now it's the same kind of concept, a little bit more mild. They have a lot of flavor to them.
Tomatoes, onions, and garlic. I mean, you can't go wrong with that flavor combination.
No. All right, so I have probably just about enough onions in here. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and we're gonna scoop these guys right down in here.
The colors on those are so amazing too. It's like a fruit salad.
It's just so beautiful. And I think that's one of what we try to do a lot of times too is we'll actually buy the mini heirloom tomatoes, because then you can just kind of quarter them up, and it's a little bit
Yeah.
more rustic, and it has some really great colors and sizes, and it blends really well, and it looks great in the bowl. Okay, so next what I like to do is I just take a few herbs.
Basil, of
Yeah, we
course.
have some beautiful basil. We have some opal basil here. And then what I do is just I get the leaves, and I'm just gonna stack them together.
You do a
And
chiffonade?
do a chiffonade. So we'll just roll them right up. And this sometimes will, go as fancy as we can and really thin, but I think what's nice about this is it is a little bit more rustic. So it's nice if you have some bigger cuts, and
Right.
even if it tears a little bit, it's
Sure.
really nice. All right, so now we have all that stuff in there. What I like to do is actually like take some salt, and this is some sea salt that we're just gonna sprinkle over, and then what that's gonna do is help pull all of the moisture out of the tomatoes. That's gonna kind of blend in with our dressing. And now we're just gonna allow these, I like to do this probably 10 or 15 minutes before I'm actually gonna serve the dish. If you wanna crack some pepper in there.
Sure thing. Everything kind of macerates together.
Yeah. And so for me, when I do this, I like to actually have some of the broth from the tomatoes. So you can kind of see here, it's still a little dry. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of drizzle a little bit more oil over it and just add a little bit more vinegar. And so I went ahead and I did add some whole parsley and a few chive spears into there. And so now we're just gonna let this kind of sit here for a minute.